Hi, it's Liz Harper again with Sarah Light, and today we're here with Jeff Mitchell. Jeff, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you very much, Liz and Sarah, for this wonderful opportunity to be with you this afternoon. I'm Jeff Mitchell, and I'm what is called a cooperative extension cropping system specialist. So I work with lots of different diverse groups of people out of UC Davis and the Division of Ag and Natural Resources. And I work on systems of food production. That's what I've been working on for pretty near 30 years now.
That's great. We're so glad to have you with us today. So Jeff, you're the leader of the Conservation Agriculture Systems Innovation Center at UCANR. Can you talk briefly about the wide range of work that CASI does?
Sure. I'm going to give a little bit of history here, though, too, for those people who are not in the University of California system and may not know a little bit about this. But way back in 1998, the University Ag and Natural Resources, they encouraged what were called work groups. They wanted to bridge the gaps that were developing a little bit between the people who were out in the counties on the front lines of extension service with those people who were on the campuses. So it was to strengthen that research extension education continuum by encouraging the formation of work groups that were organized around different sorts of initiatives, goals, or topics. And we took that encouragement very seriously. So a group of just a handful of people way back in 1998, we came together and we created the Conservation Ag Systems Innovation Work Group, and now the center. But what was driving our coalescing or coming together as a group was really the global concepts or principles of what are called conservation agriculture. And we can talk a little bit more about what those are, but those involve many of the soil health principles that have gotten much more attention and visibility these days. But globally, they come under the term conservation agriculture. So we saw an opportunity to develop information, to bring people together, and to evaluate, try, refine, and develop what we call conservation agriculture systems for California. So we had an alternative systems development goal. We had a goal of bringing people together. We tried to share information and develop information, but those were some of the coalescing aspects of our work group and the diversity we had. I'll just end in briefly here by saying that we took the encouragement that our university gave a little bit different from a lot of the other work groups, and we have ended up having quite a few private sector farmers and private sector partners in that. And I'm not saying that's unlike many of the other work groups, but we are a little bit unique in that respect. So we have lots of diverse partners that are working together on the evaluation of these alternative conservation ag systems.
Oh, great. And Jeff, you're one of the first people to do conservation tillage work in the West. What's one thing you're most proud of in your long history of doing this work?
Well, just yesterday, I can list a few of those because that's a very nice question there. I happened to be driving by a farm just last week, I think, and lo and behold, I saw something that that farmer had started probably 15 years ago. And it was strip till production of corn in their dairy silage, and there were residues out in the field. There was very little soil disturbance. And it was that farmer putting the pieces of conservation agriculture, or what is becoming known as regenerative agriculture these days, but the principles of soil health, keeping the soil covered, reducing the soil that's disturbed there, and also emphasizing diversity. So that was a little bit of proud moment there as I drove by that farm there to see that. There are a couple of other things. I remember taking a group of farmers from California, and remember, this was all pretty brand new. When we started this at the turn of the century, there was very little of these kind of practices and systems coming together in California for the most part. And so we had to learn about how do you do this. And we took a group of about 14 farmers from California, and we went on a 3-day tour. We were driving a bus all through South Dakota, Nebraska, and Colorado. And it was one of the best things I've ever done, or one of the best things I've ever been a part of. And those folks still, to this day now, are carrying out those kind of practices there. I guess another thing, and I'll just end here with a source of pride, I guess, in a small way, is the friendships that I've been able to have and still have, frankly, with many, many people who have been inspiring, motivating mentors. But that's been a very important part of what we try to do, because this stuff, as I said, was new, and it wasn't all that easy to pull off. But a great source of pride is the enduring friendships that I've had, both out of California and with many, many people here in the state. And I say enduring because it's important that they were just not, one-time
Right.
Alliances, that they've stayed friends for a long time now.
That's so wonderful to hear. Thanks for sharing that with us. The flip side of that question is, what's one challenge related to the work?
Well, there are lots of big challenges. In fact, I want to share an observation. I remember one of my mentors, a guy named Dwayne Beck in South Dakota. In my estimation, and I don't want to get over the top here, but he works at the South Dakota State University, and he has had more impact on farming systems improvement in our country than anybody I know. And I remember that David Montgomery, the writer of the soil books that you might know from University of Washington, was visiting Dwayne, and he said, "Dwayne, aren't you just really happy that things have really taken on and grown as much as they have in the no-till arena that Dwayne worked in?" Dwayne paused for a minute and he said, "Nope, I'm just darn sad that it took this long." So I guess, Sarah, I would answer your question by saying there are great, encouraging, optimistic, and positive signs, and there has been progress. People have made enormous movement toward the kinds of systems we've talked about. But it's taken a long time too, and it's not easy. And still, one of the discouraging things about this, in some respects, is that there's an awful lot of opportunity that still exists for increasing the kind of practices that I know you and Liz are working on as well there, to see them scaled up and the adoption increase there. So that would be a challenge, I'd say. But I want this to be positive here, because there are some really fabulous things and efforts that are underway that are really beginning to have an impact. And there's going to be movement in this whole arena to have more what people might call market-driven drivers or incentives. So farmers can actually get compensated, or farmers can get reimbursed in some way, or paid flat out for the kind of outcome-based practices that they're doing there. So that's a challenge, but it's also a wonderful opportunity that I think it's going to be very exciting to see in the coming years.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything else that you would like to add, Jeff?
Well, no, I mean, I thank you very much, both of you. And I know this has got a soil health theme, your podcast series here. So maybe we should end this by a little reflection or observation or discussion about some of the soil health aspects of what we've been doing here. When we started, we really didn't have soil function or soil quality or soil health. Well, we did. We were looking at carbon, and could you increase carbon in the soil? So that was an aspect of soil health for sure there. But we were really trying to couple and merge different practices and principles, reducing the volume of soil that's disturbed, adding residues in the form of cover crops or crop residues that were not plowed back into the soil but would stay on the surface, having biodiversity of crops on the soil surface and also of life in the soil, and trying to keep the soil covered as often of the year. So those principles are things that we've been doing now for an awful long time. And we have, done our due diligence of writing articles and papers and reports and that kind of stuff, but we've also seen some some pretty dramatic changes in overall soil function that I think are very exciting. It's not without problems. The challenges of doing these kind of practices, and Sarah, you and I are involved with a group of farmers right now that are really trying to develop reduced disturbance organic vegetable production systems, and it's not easy. It's not without problems or obstacles there, but I think they are all very convinced from their own practices over many, many years, as I am now, that the soil function changes, and that's a very positive outcome of bundling these practices together.
Yes.
Well, thank you for being with us today. And anything else that you would like to add, Sarah?
No, just.
No, I think that for your generation, the next generation there, as I said earlier, there are going to be some really fabulous and astonishing efforts and progress that you're going to be making now. And I just encourage you all, keep going at it. And you know what, we've struggled out there a lot, but I think that there are going to be some, don't know if there'll be breakthroughs necessarily, but you have tremendous opportunities now with some of the skills that perhaps the younger generation has in terms of collaboration. I think that's very important, how things get put together, and some of the science that's coming out as well there. So I wish you all the very best. I thank you for this great opportunity to talk with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.